It's the Really Charlie Podcast. Yeah, it's the Really Charlie Podcast. Yo, it's the Really Charlie Podcast. Bumping through your broadcast, grab a chair, fill your glass. Yeah, it's the Really Charlie Podcast. Yo, it's the Really Charlie Podcast. Yeah, it's the Really Charlie Podcast. Bumping through your broadcast, grab a chair, fill your glass.
Hey, welcome to the Really Charlie Podcast. I'm your host, Charlie Perry, along with my guest, my fabulous guest, Dawna and Cosme, my girl. You know, I'm so happy to have you on this show, this podcast. We're going to highlight you as much as we can. So if I'm missing anything, you let me know. But I really want to highlight you today. Maybe tomorrow, maybe the next day, whatever it takes. I want you have a personal invite to this podcast whenever you're available. Whenever you're available, you might have a brainstorm, you might have something you want to talk about, just send me a message and we'll set it up. I don't have any problem doing like flash podcasts, meaning they happen right away. We can do that because usually after work, if I'm available, I don't mind doing a podcast. I can do one every day if I wanted to, but we got things to do. So
I get it. But I deeply appreciate that. That's awesome.
Thank you.
Yeah.
This is let me see. We already got a comment. Look at that from our friend Susan Turner Hickey. Says hi, Dawna. Hey, Dawna. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So that's nice. I like when this podcast can be a way of us communicating, talking to people and people giving you flowers while you are standing. And that's what this is all about. This is about, just saying, hey, good job, Dawna. You're doing a great job. I like your inspiration. I like everything that you're doing. So that's what this podcast is about.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
All right. So I'm going to make sure that I'm tuned into every live show that we have. We're live on YouTube. We're live on Facebook. So, I just want to make sure that we are being seen so people will get the message about Dawna. All right. Let me just turn this off. Yeah. Here we go. All right. Before, I've known you for years. Families known each other. It's been, it's been great. I really have nothing but praise for your family, and
thank you,
and especially you.
Thank you.
Brennan Boga says, "Good evening, everyone. Looking great." Thank you, Brennan. I appreciate that. I was just talking about him today with a friend of mine asking me, hey, get Mr. Bolger on the podcast, and I said, all right, I'll do that. So
there you go.
Yeah. All right. Let me see here. All right. I want to talk about one thing that I'm truly amazed about is how many books you have out there that I wasn't aware of. I thought you had one and you have many, which is as unbelievable. And I just I tell people, hey, I wrote a book, and then they say, oh, I want to buy it. And
that's right.
And then they find out that I wrote 15 books, and I have many on the shelf, but just haven't got my butt to it, to take care of business and right. get it published. So what inspired you to write, and how long have you been writing?
Oh, that's a great question. It's kind of like it's not one thing. And before I even say that, I just want to say to you, you will write those books. Every time something comes up, an inspiration with a message that I want to share, I'll write it out but then through the finalizing, like you're saying, through the finalizing of it, editing, and then getting it published and doing that always for me comes like 4 or 5 years later after I write. So you will get to it, and I'll be a loving reminder, like, Charlie, where's those books?
Yes, I
You know,
appreciate it.
because it's great to give our light and get the message that's important to us, that we value, out there, because it can either lift someone, help someone, entertain someone. So it's good. So what inspired me is, honestly, it's a whole thing from childhood, Charlie.
Mhm.
It's like I got into engineering. Let me rewind that. I got into engineering at BCC, and oh my God, by the time I got to UMass, when I matriculated, I was completely done with engineering. They're talking about thermodynamics and all this stuff. So I sat down, and I encourage everyone to do this, to tap into what they love to do. And I sat down and I just said, what is it that I love to do? What has been what's the word? A theme in my life,
Mhm.
all of my life, you know? And it went all the way back to kindergarten. And I always played with the word. I always played with the word. The teacher would always ask me to read my story. And this is grammar school.
Yeah.
This is, as soon as I could read and write, I loved penmanship. I just loved it. And I tapped back into that. And I noticed that in my classes all through school, all the writing always came easy.
Mhm.
So I was like, I wonder if I could actually make a career at writing, because I've heard of that saying, starving artists, right? And I'm like, I
Mhm.
don't want to starve, but I really had to follow my passion, follow what I love. And when I got out of grad school, I went for a self-designed master's degree. So I just want to be clear on that. It wasn't like I went to something that was already set up. I had to actually create my classes and stuff. So it's more, not less, it's more like I designed my degree. So it's an extension of me. You know
Mhm.
what I mean? It's like there's not classes for the degree I have, because I had to create it from what I was inspired by, right? So after I did that, I was like, I started, my consciousness was shifting through all of the changes, life experiences. It was all changing. And I had run into some beautiful people on my path, like beautiful angels of inspiration, of encouragement. And I was like, wow, I would like to be that for other people.
Awesome.
I would really, and pay it forward. And as that happening, my own personal relationship with my highest power, like my supreme self, if you will, it started deepening and deepening. So I was like, oh, this feels so great. This is so great. And I started writing, and that's when I wrote Deliberate Consciousness. And it's funny, I'll just share quick how the title came to me. It
Sure.
was a guy, I said I wouldn't, but I got to say it because it's kind
No,
of
you
cute.
have to. Yeah. Go
It's
ahead.
cute. It's cute. So I was speaking about consciousness and programming and deconditioning and all. And he said, and I said something, and I corrected myself in the moment. I said, oh, excuse me. And I self-corrected. And he said, how do you do that? And I said, do what? And I was looking for a title for my book at that time. And he said, how do you live with such deliberate consciousness? And I knew, like, you write, Charlie. So
Mhm.
we know when we hear it and it pings and it's just, that's it.
Yeah.
That's it. And so I made that the title of my first book. And then I've been writing as I've been growing spiritually, personally, all around. I guess that's reflected in my writing now. So from deliberate consciousness, I just kept writing as I kept evolving,
Very, very
So
good. I love it. I
yeah,
love it.
yeah.
You have some friends on the line, our good friend Michael Sameo, but we got Brian Hauser saying, is Miss Cosme from the Cosme family from South Second Street back in the 60s and 70s?
Yep.
Yes,
He's
yes,
got
yes.
it.
Mhm.
Yep.
Brian Hauser from South First Street
Hi,
asking. Hey,
Brian.
Brian, thanks for the support. He's always supporting us, and I really, really appreciate it. Actually, if I can get his schedule down packed, I would love to have Brian Hauser on the Really Charlie podcast sooner than later,
Absolutely.
only just to talk about a lot of things because he has a story, he has a journey that he went on, and I would like to talk about that too. So, um,
Mhm.
I I seen your video and it talks about relationships and relationships with yourself, and you know
Mhm.
things around you, and we always have to build a relationship with our inner self, starting from myself and then branch
Yeah.
out. There's always forms of relationships that you have to build on. And I noticed you had another video that I didn't see yet, but
Mm.
it's called Faith and Fear. And
Yeah.
I got inspired just by that, just like you talked about this title. The title that it came, someone mentioned it and you grabbed it and you said, that's it. Well, with Faith and Fear, it got me inspired. I started thinking about what I
Mm.
would be writing, and I'm like, all right, I can let me something's going
Yep.
on in my life, and I want to talk about that. So I'm gonna end up writing about that eventually.
Excellent.
And but I love how we all inspire each other. And
Exactly. If I didn't put that out there, then that light bulb wouldn't have went off for you. And if that person didn't say that to me, then my light bulb wouldn't have went off. It's so important to just keep shining and keep sharing
exactly.
so that we lift each other. Yeah.
It's the I haven't seen any book signings from you. And are you trying to do that? Will you intend to do that once everything kind of loosens up and get better for us? And you can also do a book signing virtually too.
Yeah, thanks for putting that out there. Actually, I one of the things that I really liked about putting my first book out was the book signings. I loved the book signings. I loved interacting with everyone, as they came. And it was great to get to know who the readers were of what I was writing and that they were actually interested in. And it's very encouraging. It's very
Yes.
encouraging to continue sharing. So I would like to do that. And I'm not too familiar with how to do it online,
Yeah.
but I can look into that.
Yeah. It's you could do it. It pretty much set up through just like we're doing right now, and you would basically, you know, um, introduce your book, talk about your book. People in the comment section would basically come on, and then you set up, basically a payment platform, a way of doing it, whether it's Cash App or something. But there's many ways
Mm.
of doing it, or just, if it's locally with me, it's like, all right, I'll meet with you, like Brian House, I'll meet with you, I'll sign this book. He lives out of state, so I can't meet with him, but I would have to mail it to him. And then, you do it like that. But I would like to see that, um, because I had so many great conversations during the book signings. Um,
Yeah, right?
yep.
Yep, yep.
eh, there's one lady, her name, I know her name is Tracy. She's in a wheelchair, and she wrote a fascinating book, and she inspired me because she got in a bad accident, was paralyzed in a wheelchair, and she
Mm.
was able to take those pages. I mean, get that book together and be able to tell her story, and it was inspiring for other people that are in wheelchairs and have a disability. So, but
Wow, that's
it was
amazing.
great.
Mm.
Let's see, I got a nice comment here, I think. I write spiritual poems now, and I have learned I can write looking at pictures I see. Thank you, Charlie and Dawna. Thank you. I thought yesterday, once I publish, will be there. Be another book. Will there be another book? Of course. If it's another book from
Yes.
you, you are always see what happens is most authors stop their writing when they have much, much more to say. But they say, all right, I gotta stop and and then maybe I'll think about doing another book. So as you write, like with me, if I write every day and I always it's somewhere there. If I could possibly send out a
Yeah.
book every month, because that's how much I'm writing. And yeah, I always say you got to be ahead of the publisher. If it's a publisher that wants you to write for them, you want to be a book ahead of them. So keep writing as you're doing it, and that way they say, "Hey, do you have another book?" You say, "Yes, I do," and then you say, "I'll work on it and I'll get it done for you." And then you work on it, and then now you have book number 2 on the shelf. So
Yep.
the so let's talk about your books. How many do you have?
Okay, so let me be honest. I want to be honest.
Mm-hmm.
So I have a Deliberate Consciousness.
Yep.
I'm going to list them. That's easier for me to remember. I have Dream Spell, Break the Wheel. That's a deprogramming book. I just want to put that out there because some people, I have to say that as a preface, because sometimes as a writer, people get used to a certain theme that we write about. And although it's a very spiritual book, it's very different than my first one. It's strictly deprogramming. So there's Deliberate Consciousness, there's Dream Spell. I took Naked off the market.
Mm-hmm.
Naked was a psychic purge. I took that off the market. Of that one, I have my children's book, Charlie. I am in love. I had so much fun doing this children's book. I love my children's book. I Am the Way. So how many is that? 1, 2,
3, 4.
Four. And then I have, there's a mini books that I wrote, and there's 6 of those. And I have Metamorphosis coming out.
Mm-hmm.
And then I have a memoir, I'm Not Afraid of the Dark Anymore, coming out. So it's so funny that you asked me. I don't really count, but that's like, it sounds like about 11 books, something.
Yeah,
something
that's
like
good.
that.
That's good. Let me
It
see.
is.
Let's put some things on here. On the screen here.
Let's
okay.
See.
Let's try this one here.
Yeah, that's one of the mini books. Yep, that's a pocket book.
Mm-hmm. All right. Yep, and that's pretty much what I have on this list.
Okay.
All right. Conspiracies. I love it. What's that? Ocean of Time.
Yes. That's a travel literature essay, pretty much.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good title. How'd you come up with that?
With what exactly?
The title.
I'm going to tell you. Charlie. I thought I was just writing, and I'm doing all my own design covers. I'm doing all my own titles. I didn't know I had this in me, so I encourage anyone listening, keep going, because we have so much untapped resource in us to create. So much creativity, and that came to me just like all of the others with a like a light bulb moment. This is connected to my Nana Della from Martha's Vineyard.
Okay. All right.
And so that's what inspired me. Like, I grew up around a family of like a family that loved beaches, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so we go on the Scamanche, we go over to Martha's Vineyard. We know relatives and friends from Nantucket, connected to New Bedford. And so it was all about that. And it was about how time really can gift us and steal things from us at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
So I tied in the ocean with it. Yeah.
Awesome. Let's see here. What we have here. This is one of my favorite pictures that I seen of you, and
Really?
it's
Thank you.
yeah, and
That
it
was
says
fun.
yeah, and then I got up and straightened my crown out. Oh, my crown. I
Oh,
love that.
yeah.
Yeah, and you know what? There's a lot of women doing that now, and they need to. Some
Yes.
yeah, regardless of what it may be for. It could be love and life and or a job and career. It could be anything.
Yes.
You straighten that crown out and show people who you are. Is
Yep.
that is that Operation Inspiration? I believe it says.
Yep. It's an uplifting book. That's another pocket book. So
Hmm.
that's another easy read, easy to carry in your bag. I put a little blurb. It's good for waiting rooms and when you're having a cup of coffee or whatever it is, you have some downtime and you just want something quick. You just want to be inspired quick. That's what this one is.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's see. Another pocketbook. Rediscovery. Right.
Yes.
I love that. And
Thank you. And I was surprised myself I was like, wow, I never even had that on one of my lists to do. Like, oh, you're going to create book covers. I thought I was going to have to hire out. I don't have to. And I'm so grateful because I love the creativity. So this one is one of the things I realized that's helped me on my path a lot is reflection, journal writing, right?
yes.
So when I needed it, I don't even do it now because I'm actually at a different space now, a different consciousness now. So I have different, modalities, different things that I do now. However, this was paramount on my journey to write to heal because I needed to write out all of that stuff that was in the brain from conditioning, things that needed healing, things that needed releasing. And so that book right there is about being encouraging to someone, that doesn't want to write. So it's like it's a softening and an opening, like some people don't want to write because sometimes they're afraid someone else will read it. Sometimes they're afraid of what's going to come out. Like if they've had something close to them that maybe they, held like a secret.
Hmm.
But those are the very things we need to release, I found on my path, and let go of, so that we can shift into freedom and creativity and live basically a spontaneous, loving life. So that's a gentle book that encourages someone to how to start the writing for healing process.
Awesome. The
Yeah.
and those that's the book that that book right there is a book that you walk into one of the stores, a big stores, and you look on the shelf and you say, let me look at this. And you look in that book and you say, wait a minute, I could do the same thing or better. Why isn't my book on here? Why isn't,
Yep.
you know, that book
Yep.
right there is the perfect book to be on that end cap at the store and saying, you know what? And it's amazing how um we look at things or we hold back on things, we hold back
Right.
and 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 when we look at it, the books on the shelf are no better than ours sometimes, so
Yes.
but all right,
Yes. Want to hear something funny I heard today?
go ahead.
That somebody said to me, another self-published author, they said, yeah, I don't know who the writer was, but the writer confessed, I'm not a good writer, I'm a good marketer. So
Mm,
I sometimes, like you're saying, why not me? Why not whoever's looking at it to say to themselves, why not me? I can do that. And they can.
yes.
you know, and it's not everything that's written out there is like good material. So if someone's thinking about writing, you know, it doesn't have to do their best. I would encourage them to do their best not to think about it in terms of bad or good, but more authentic.
Mm-hmm.
Just be authentic with where they are and then put it out there. You know, I found that's a winning formula for myself, you know.
Yeah, and
So
the hardest thing about the writing when you're writing is the hardest thing is getting it all down. People slow down. They slow down instead of
yes,
just putting it all down, no matter where it is. Don't try to
yes,
edit anything. Don't try to correct anything while you're doing it. Just go ahead and boom, bang it out.
yep,
Bang it out. Boom, boom, boom. Every day do something. And then
yes,
after when you finally get to that ending, that not the finish line, but when you get at the end of your story where you think that you have everything down packed, all right, now go back to the beginning and start
yes,
editing and start going through it. And then you know what? That's going to be the easy part. Editing, there's so many things out there to help you edit. You know what? Whether it's people or apps
yep,
or, you know, there's many things you can do.
yep.
Um,
I agree. That's excellent advice. Yeah, I like that.
we're going to go back to these comments here. We got
Okay,
some
sure.
people over here that, you know, let's see.
That's so awesome. I just want to say thank you, everyone that's watching and tuning
Yes,
in. Thank you. And thank you for supporting Charlie in this too.
I appreciate it. Yes. Amen. Um, Michael Consatio says the con man's in the building. Like we don't know, he's always in the building, you know, doing his thing. The Cosme family is well known in the community. So proud of her. Her
Oh,
writing is
thank you.
amazing. I don't think she remembers me, but may God bless you. Bless her. Very talented. She knows
I
who you are,
do.
my, of course, you know.
That's so gracious, man. That's so gracious. Thank you. I do remember. Yeah.
Yes. He says once again, amazing guest. She looks like just like Kim. Great genes, great family. It's true. Yeah, that Cosme family is you know, their genes are in the cheeks and the eyes and the eyebrows. It's you know,
Yeah.
one of the favorite comments or compliments I ever
Hey,
got was
Benjamin.
that I look like Duck, and I saying, "Man, I
Oh
love
my
that dude."
God. Okay,
Uh,
Charlie, stop, please, because I'm so glad you said that because I said at some point in this interview, I hope that he doesn't mind, but I have to tell him because we haven't talked on a one-on-one.
mm,
I've always wanted to say to you, you remind me of my father. It's
yeah,
crazy. You are an individual that looks most like him than anyone I've ever met.
I love him. It's he was just, you know, it's my grandmother's friend, you know, mom's friend, and you know, growing up, he was always good to me and my brothers, and he
Good.
always stuck with me. You know, I was so happy to talk to him. Um,
Really? That's
I,
awesome.
I always said, you know, he's got that walk. He had the coolest sunglasses. I mean, they may have been the cheapest ones, but I don't know. They were cool. They fit. It fit him. It fit him to the T. You know. Um,
Yes.
our friend Benjamin Rose, aka Flip Rose or Little Flip, said, "Looking good, Dawna."
Hey,
And God bless.
Benjamin.
That's it, my man. He's another guy
This
doing
flip
well for himself.
right
Yeah,
there.
that's it. Little
Yeah.
Flip, Little
I
Flip.
enjoyed that interview as well, too. And just going back to my father,
Hmm.
unless you wanted to read another comment, I don't,
No,
it's up to you.
we'll come back to Michael's comment.
Okay.
I'm gonna put it on the side.
Okay.
We'll come right
All
back
right.
to that.
My father, since we brought him up, he was a very interesting man. And he was a very complex character. And he struggled, which he wasn't known really, only to his close family members. that he had struggled. He is an inspiration for me. This is why I'm saying it, because he wasn't able in his lifetime to do what Flip did with his life. Yeah. Flip turned his life around. And that always stayed with me. So he was an inspiration for me. Like I've dealt with many things, but addiction and alcoholism wasn't one of them. So my father battled with that. And as a product, my family, we were products of that environment. So when anybody listening that is like in a family that, an alcohol, I don't want to say alcoholic family because there's so much more love. There's other dynamics too. So I'm not trying to put anything in a box, but just with that condition present, right? So, it's really, really good. I sat my butt in Al-Anon for families and friends of alcoholics for over 25 years. And he was my inspiration because I never got to see him turn his life around. And when I used to see him struggling with it, with the alcoholism, I used to
All right. It's a little delay in it. She'll come on momentarily. All right, everyone. And this is so key. This is so important, what she's saying. So we're going to go right back to it. And, just dealing with things, whether it's, alcoholism and identifying it is very, very important. And I'm glad that Dawna was able to do that. I'm going to remove her from the screen. She'll come back on. So this is so important. And thank you for the comments, because she is going to see this. She's going to see all these comments. It's going to be real important to her and many, many others that are on the podcast, just sitting with us, and getting inspired, I hope, so. And here she is. She's coming back here. So, all right. All right. We got you.
I so apologize. Remember I said before we started that the Wi-Fi, because all the trees can just kind of get wacky. But so anyway, thank you for your patience. No. My father was a very complex character. And believe it or not, when he passed,
yep,
all of the people that attended his funeral, I was like, who is this guy that everybody, it was like the mayor passed. I don't know. People from all over, the line was around the block. The whole house was full inside of I forgot the name of the funeral parlors. And I was like, who is this guy? And that started me. I went and I sat in AA meetings, open AA meetings, to get to understand this complex character I grew up with, because he was so loving and at times not loving, and it wasn't consistent. And I just needed to know some more about him. And so I sat in those rooms until an angel on my path sat next to me. I don't know who the man's name is, but he was sitting next to me, and he looked at me, he said, "You're not an alcoholic." And I said, "No, I'm not actually. I'm here because I was honest, because that's a room of transparency and honesty to heal and to grow." And I said, "No, actually, I'm here because my father passed, and I really want to get to know him through these speakers." And I said, "But something's not gelling for me anymore." And he said to me, my angel, he said, "Why don't you try Al-Anon?" He said, "I think that would be perfect for you." And I asked him what it was. He told me, and 25 plus years sat my butt in those seats to heal, to grow, to learn about not just my father's struggle, but because of the conditioning and the environment I grew up with, I needed to understand myself. I really needed to understand what was going on with me and who I was as an individual. you
Awesome.
know? So Al-Anon was tremendous in that. I recommend it to everyone. We just have to find, to be honest, healthy meetings.
Mm-hmm.
They're not all the same, you
Yes.
know?
So
So,
true. So true.
yeah, yeah,
And I'm glad you mentioned that. You know,
yeah,
it's one thing that, you know, Mr. Rose does. He doesn't fake the funk. You know, if the
exactly.
meeting's not useful, he's definitely not gonna bring anybody there or share that venue with anybody if they're not helping. Um, Want to
Yep,
backtrack a little bit here.
sure.
This is one of my new inspiring writers, Michael Sameo, and
All right.
he says, as I am new to the writing process, it is extremely encouraging to listen and learn what each has experienced through the writing process.
Yeah,
And it's so true. He's doing a
yeah.
great job, and I can't wait until he finishes his project.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
Keep going.
Hmm.
Keep going.
Yeah. Let's see. I'm hearing some. All right, I'm good now. The as all your books are coming along and they're hanging around your house, hanging around relatives' houses.
Yeah.
As you see them, what's going on with you? What are you thinking when you see your book?
You got some great questions. I love it. You know, the first one, it was like, wow, I did this.
Mhm.
I did this. I did this.
Yeah.
And it just, that's the beautiful thing I find about writing, not just to use it for healing, but because it gives us another lens to see ourselves through, besides the previous lens that we might have had. And I was like, wow, I can call myself an author. I
Hmm.
couldn't, like, it was a whole new consciousness, a whole new paradigm, but I loved it. And that's why I kept on going. And I don't know, I was at my mom's today and we were hanging out there. My son, my daughter, his baby, my brother, Craig, you know, Craig.
Yeah.
Um, and I saw my book because I always, whenever I write, I always give my mom a copy. It's just automatic. I sign it for her with love and give her a copy. And I saw my book. I've been working on designing my covers now, so not much writing. And I haven't really looked at deliberate consciousness for a long time. And it was sitting there, and I was like, wow, it made me reflect back to when I first started. Like, it
Yes.
feels like I've come a long way. It feels, you know?
That's good.
Yeah,
That's good. Good.
yeah.
Good. I see many people up here, which is good. You
Awesome.
know, Mandy
Hi,
Jones.
everybody.
Hi, Mandy. How you doing? Uh, Michael, there's a few people. It says Facebook user. I won't be able to see that until later after I get off my PC.
Okay.
But I just want to tell you guys hello. Thank you for supporting myself and Dawna on her trek on her path, where she's laying down some books for us all to read and get inspired from. Let's see this one comment here. Mandy Jones, I want to say hello. Hopefully your family's doing well, you know, your kids, your children, and God bless you. This one says,
Thank
I
you.
believe what you didn't see, Dawna, in your father is in you and your success. You're giving openly and sharing integrity. All right. And it's true. I mean, maybe, you know, your dad had a smile on his face when he seen others.
Yes,
You know, that was if someone was coming in his direction, that's what he was going to give. He was going to give that smile first, regardless of what he was sitting there. You know, he may have been uh, in the community, whether it's and just there for whatever reason. You know, and it may be a reason that he may be sad or depressed or going through something. However, when people step to him, he bring that smile and you know,
absolutely.
yeah.
He's, you know, Charlie, through my own healing and self-reflection, I just see him as a great man, with just had struggles.
Mm-hmm.
Like he was a great guy. Like even when I was a mom, when my children were little,
Yeah.
he always told me what a great mom I was. He would just look at me and say, "You're such a good mom. You're
Mm-hmm.
such a good mother." And that meant the world to me coming from him.
Good.
You know what I mean? Because he knows, that's the thing too, like, because he knew at that point, because we're all young adults now, so he knew he had struggled, and he knew what he imparted to some of us, wasn't always his best version. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so for him to say that to me, that was big. That was pretty
Yeah.
big. Yeah.
And I get that,
Yeah.
I didn't always get the best version of my parents, and
Exactly.
and even my children, they don't get the best version of me. So,
Exactly.
and I could say that, and
Yep.
but it
Exactly.
as long as we all can relate to it. Michael Consatio says, I can relate. My dad passed at the age of 46 from alcoholism. So it's important what you have to offer, which is true. And my dad died at that same young age too, so we're all losing a lot of people at a very, very young age. And I believe your dad, Dawna, was about 55 years old, I believe, if I'm correct.
Here we are again.
Yeah. So, and it's crazy. Let me see. Got to thank you. Saying thank you, Charlie and Dawna, and you're welcome, and we thank you. And Michael says her dad was my guy. He was everybody's guy.
See what I mean? He was so loved. Yes.
Yep.
Yes.
So the like I said, he was just somebody that was dear to me.
Yeah.
And the craziest thing is me and Craig being friends.
Yeah.
I knew your dad before I even knew him, and that's the craziest thing is that.
Really? I didn't
Yeah.
know that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's like
Wow.
he was around my family, since I was a young age. So I knew of him before I actually knew your brother, and it's weird, but he left a mark on my life, and may he rest in peace. And I know he's doing what he did down here, up there in heaven. He's doing the same thing he was doing down here, but probably with God in his path and God guiding him, he's doing a whole lot better.
Oh, yeah.
So
thank you for that.
Yes. What's your next inspiration? What's your next project? What are you going to do?
Well, believe it or not, I really move intuitively. So I never really make a large, broad plan. I get ideas of inspiration that drop in, and then they somehow gel together to make something later.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? But I definitely, I wouldn't want to say anything about Facebook because we're actually using something here, I think, that's connected to Facebook.
Yeah.
But I found that for myself, when I'm putting my message out there, I found Facebook to be very distracting because there's a lot of dynamics on it. Mm-hmm. So my next thing is I just opened a Pinterest page, and I'm going to see how that platform does, because it's not like a constant feed of information coming through as I'm creating and as I'm sharing my message. I want to continue sharing YouTube videos to help people to deprogram, to take their power back, Charlie.
Yeah.
Not to give their power away to anything. It's so important. And, to stand in the light that they are, because, Charlie, I realized I used to think I was this or I was that. None of the things I thought I was.
Mm-hmm.
And we are actually really beautiful beings. We're having some human experiences, but we're beautiful, beautiful beings if we take away all of the programming, all of the conditioning, and that's where my title Naked came from, actually. and we get naked,
Mm-hmm.
we're beautiful.
Yeah.
We're beautiful beings. And so I want to continue doing that and spreading that message. I have a couple of children's books, 2 more ready to go. And why I'm so psyched about the children's book is because I knew that I wanted to share the light that's been shown to me, right, with adults.
Mm-hmm.
But then when it came for children, I was like, no, wait a minute. I want children. If we were, because I said to myself, I reflect a lot. And it came to me, I didn't really say to myself, it came to me, if I was a child and I was taught to trust myself early and to believe in myself and to have faith in myself, it might have been a very different path. I'm sure it would have been, actually guaranteed, right?
Yeah.
So I'm really happy about the children's book, and because it gives me a chance to put that message out there, like start early, because we are really beautiful beings,
Yes.
you know, and for whatever reason, if it's soul contracts or whatever it is, we have so many experiences and we move away from the beauty that we are. And it's time, you know, to return to that. It really is. It's very empowering once we realize we're not that thing we thought we were, or we're not that thing. So those are the things I want to continue doing, is expanding on that and maybe finding more platforms, you know, where I can do that, you know?
Awesome.
Yeah.
And I think you're on the right path, right? It's definitely something, another thing to do is stop blogging, stop writing your own blog, you can
Yeah.
do that through WordPress, use WordPress and set up your own blog. And that's another thing that it doesn't have,
Yeah.
where it doesn't have that constant ringing of the bell, the ring isn't constantly ringing, in a blog it comes every now and then, or when you sign on, now you can see different things, you can kind of maybe answer to them, but that's another way of doing it.
It is. I'm glad you said that, actually, because I have a blog on my website.
Mm-hmm.
And I wrote a few articles, and then I started getting into designing covers for my books that I was writing, that I haven't, I was telling myself, now that I'm establishing, like, I'm jumping into the ocean of Pinterest and seeing how that goes, I'm going to share my blogs. I'm going to probably start writing more blogs, but I really have to not let Metamorphosis sit on the shelf, because you know how that goes. I have to finish it. I have to finish that book.
Awesome. It's a few people saying thank you again, Dawna. And
oh gosh, thank you.
Yeah, very, just Michael says, very inspirational. The show is the bomb. We all have to look in the mirror, and
Yes.
sometimes we don't want to look in the mirror, and it's true.
Yeah, because we have these notions. Thank you for that. Because we, like I was saying earlier, we have these notions, that we're this or we're that, and we're really none of those things. We're none of those things. We're much greater. We are much greater than those things. I can remember, it's funny. I can remember, and I don't know how this is going to sound. I'm just going to be transparent. All of my life, Charlie, I wouldn't look in a mirror. And now I can look in the mirror, no problem. What's that from?
Mm-hmm.
That's from committing to my healing and my inner growth and my spirituality, and self-love. That's what it's from. I couldn't look in the mirror because I did have all those ideas of what I thought I was. And I was so happy when I found out I was none of them.
Mm-hmm.
It was very liberating. And I truly intend that experience for everyone. Yeah.
I love it. I love it. I want to highly recommend to everyone that you go on to Dawna's YouTube page, Blue Angel, and basically start listening and learning from those videos. They're very, very important.
Thank you.
But like and subscribe, just to give her, the credit that she deserves. She's taking her time to actually speak and talk to you about, many things that may be going on in your life or someone else's life.
Right.
And you should, just, it may start a conversation. It will start a
Yeah.
conversation. And that's basically another thing that I do on the podcast, which is make your mental health a priority. And myself
Mm.
and Marvin Speller, also known as Coach M100, and we come on every 2 weeks and we try to talk about mental health and people just making it their priority. So, but
Sure.
it what I like about your YouTube videos, it's like sitting and talking to someone that's within your family, within your circle, and you can just
Yeah.
kind of get there in front of the screen and just say, all right, let me see what she has to say.
Yeah.
And then it's point on, you nailed it right on the head, that you're some of the topics that you're talking about. So I'm going to
Thank
continue
you.
to do what I have to, and um we have this podcast on Anchor, Spotify, and one thing that I do is I will take this podcast for you and I, and during the week when I'm traveling at work, driving, I put it on and listen. Instead of listening to music, I'm listening to my podcast just to re-educate myself, or things
Mm-hmm.
that I had missed. I want to hear them again. And the
Yeah.
day two was great. Of listen, this is great now, but when I listen to it Sunday or Monday, I'm gonna say, wow, and I'm gonna get an additional inspiration. So,
Mm-hmm.
but
I like that. That's awesome.
I have
Mm.
I have a question for you, but what I want to do is I want to
Yes.
first give you an opportunity. Is there something that you want to talk about right now, or something you want to send out to, the people that are listening? If not, I'll continue with my question, but it's up to you. But we won't stop if you don't remember or don't have anything to say right now.
Mm-hmm.
After I ask you this question, you probably will have something to say.
Let's go with your question, Charlie. Let's
All
do that.
right.
You
All
even
right.
smile like my dad. That's
Yeah,
wild.
it's true. It does. Um, all right. I ask this every show. Donna Cosme, who would you like to see on the Really Charlie podcast?
Who would I like to see? Mm. Who would I like to see? Is it from the community or just anybody?
Nope. Anybody. It could be, you know, I can't. I can reach out to anybody, and I do.
Yep.
Anyone that's recommended, I do reach out to, regardless of who it is, and I let them tell me yes or no. And it may be someone
Right.
that but I still, and in respect to my guest and request from my guest, I do say, look, someone recommended you for the Really Charlie podcast. Would you like to come on? And that's what I do.
That's awesome. Okay, so I can have a B or C or whatever, but the individual that I feel would have the most impact on getting people to get to their hardcore, I would say Muji. Do you know Muji?
No, I don't. I don't.
Okay, so you might like Muji.
All
Yeah,
right.
it's spelled Mooji.
All right.
Muji.
All right.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna write. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna add it to the comments.
Yeah,
And Mooji
J I.
Ji. Okay.
Yes,
All right.
yes.
I'm gonna check that out, and I'm gonna reach out and try to invite them to the podcast. And
That's awesome.
yeah,
Yeah,
I get a lot of requests. You know, through a site I'm on, and I love it. It's amazing when now I'm having a conflict in schedule, or I can't book
right.
someone else, and as long as I'm not double booking, I'm fine. But it's nice to know that my dates are lined up and they're booked, and I gotta push people ahead of time, further in the month
Yeah.
or anything like that. So that's a
Yeah.
good thing, because in the beginning I didn't know where my guests were gonna come from. Um, and
Yes.
it's so
That's
um,
awesome what you're doing. I really support you in this, Charlie. It's great.
good.
Yeah.
Um, Feel free, to comment a discussion you want to talk about.
Oh,
Um,
okay. All
you
right.
can,
You know what?
yeah.
Since you say that, how about a question from the audience?
All right, we'll
That
do
might
that.
be fun.
Yeah, and well, here's one question, and it's a common question on a weekly basis for me, and I'm gonna put it on the screen. Is, are you running for mayor? Well, I got to tell you, Mr. Costa, I am not thinking about it right now. Um, he said New Bedford needs a mayor doing the work. I
Yeah.
I I I love, with being selfish. I love being Papa. I love being around my family. I love
Mm,
doing these podcasts. At the time when I did run for mayor, that was the time. That was the perfect time for me to do it. At this point in my life, family's getting grow up bigger, and
yeah.
got a new grandchild on the way, and so that's what my life's about right now is family. And as far as trying to fix some other things, I don't have the energy anymore right now to help
Right.
out with the assistance of the city. Um, but don't get me wrong, if I see someone is in place and I think I can do a better job, I'm gonna put my hat in the arena, and I'll start collecting my votes again. So, but you know, I got a question for you, Donna. All right.
Okay. Sure. Sure.
As each book that you write um has many, many reasons, from book cover to back cover.
Yeah.
What one book one book do you refuse to pick up because it emotionally grabs you and upsets you?
You mean of my own writing or any book?
Your
Of my
own writing.
own.
Right. Yep.
Um. Wow, Charlie, that's a great question because I never thought of it in terms like that. But if I'm going to be transparent and
Mm-hmm.
honest as I am, this book. Hold on a sec. This
All
book.
right.
Okay. This one. I don't know if
Yeah.
you can see it. Dream
Yes.
Spell. Okay,
It's
Break the Wheel. This is a deprogramming book, right? And this one I can tend to get emotional with. And as a matter of fact, as I'm working on Metamorphosis, it's like I want to put Dream Spell behind. It's such a beautiful cover. I love the way it came out. I'm so proud of it.
Yes,
But
you should be.
thank you so much. It's fun, but it's so emotional because it's really about, wow, this is the book. Yeah, wow, I never thought of that. Give me a second. um, because it's a deprogramming book. It's like,
Mhm.
okay, so when I wrote Deliberate Consciousness, it was about moving from the head to the heart, you know, to move to self-love. Get out of the head, move to the heart, right? And this one is all about taking our consciousness back from all of the powers that we gave it away to,
Mhm.
whether it's the system, other people, other places, or other things. Doesn't
Yeah.
matter. And so, in order to write this, I had to go to, I don't want to use dark. Dark is beautiful. I don't want to use it in a negative way, but I had to go to some shadowy places because the information, when I write, I channel. And it comes like any artist, they paint, they're channeling that. It just comes through. The beauty just comes through, or the information does. And I had to go to a lot of dark places that I'd rather not think about, and I'd rather not focus on, right? Or think of humanity in that way. And it pings my heart still, because to write this book means that I had to admit that I have been severely lied to, and so has many, 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 many people have been lied to. Things are not what they seem. And the wool was pulled over our eyes. And at first, it's much more detached now, right? But at first, it was like, really. I would look at this book. Oh my God, Kacha, that's such a good question. I sound like a parrot. When I would look at this book, it would be that I would be thinking like, well, someone had to write this. Someone had to tell people what's going on. Someone had to, help people, or at least those that are interested, shake up from sleeping, wake up from sleeping, unplug from all of the things that they gave their power away to. So this book it was very intense writing it. And it feels so good now. It's like though I walked through the valley of the shadow of death, it's like I came out at the light at the end of the tunnel with it, and I feel really good about that, because I can still appreciate, even after all of this, even after accepting that I've been severely lied to, and so have many other people, and what's in here is all of the things we've been lied to about. And then people can choose what they want from it, just because I wrote it doesn't mean they have to accept it. I encourage people to be their own sovereign litmus test. If it works for you, it works. If it doesn't, then be true to that.
Yeah, I tell everyone to treat a book like a conversation. Just
I
because
like that.
you got to treat a book like a conversation, and then you take what you have to, you take what you can, and absorb it, or research something, that you may agree or disagree with, but keep it as a conversation. That's what a book is. It is a conversation.
It's a conversation, right? I like that a lot.
Thank you. The Michael Casaccio says, my question is, Dawna, what was or is your major inspiration to put pen to paper?
My major inspiration, like I was saying earlier, it went all the way back to childhood.
Yeah.
I really tapped into what I've always loved to do. It came natural to me. And when I was at college, I tutored. And I found out that it doesn't come natural to everyone. Some people are literally afraid to write. They're afraid. I don't know what that is, because I haven't had that, but I appreciated it, so I would help people do that. But my inspiration came from the source. I came through this way.
Yes.
I really did. And it took me a lot of years of fence climbing and to get here, and taking alternate roads. But I'm here.
That's
here.
Good.
Yeah.
That's good. I'm glad, because what happens is people suffer in silence.
Yes.
And, so until they become transparent, the suffering continues. So,
yes.
But writing is good for me. And I always say thinking and writing, and I just put it out there on my post on Facebook. Thinking and writing.
Wait a minute, Charlie.
So, the thinking and writing for me is just something that I love. I love doing. I love to reach out and just kind of show my my art, my artistic way of reaching out to people and just saying things, through my poetry. Um, and people may bring here we go.
Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. I always post on Facebook thinking and writing and test my poetic pulse, and I have people send pictures to me, and regardless of what it is, people,
Hmm.
places, or things, whatever they send to me, I'm gonna write, and if
Yeah.
they have something that a little private and they don't want to post it on social media, I tell them send it to the inbox,
Hmm.
and then I'll basically write about it and then I'll repost it, just so um just and a lot of people say, how did you know I was feeling that way about that picture, and it's just who I am. I've been through a lot of life experiences, and
Hmm.
I can relate to most things. I try to, and
That's cool.
so but as I'm thinking and writing, and you're thinking and writing, and you're doing your thing, we got to remember that we want to respect others. We want to inspire others, and you inspired me,
Oh,
and I'm going to continue to
awesome.
endorse everything that you're doing. And I actually, I was trying to think of what I was going to do um, when it came to purchasing one of your books, which I'm going to
Hmm.
try to purchase most of them. But because of my great host question, I'm going to purchase Dream Spell immediately.
Oh, okay. You're in for a treat with that one. Yeah.
Yeah. So let me see.
I don't even call it a book. I call it a report.
All right. Good.
And I call Earth Storyland. So on the top, it says a Storyland report.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. Let's see. Um, let's comment here. He got me writing to those pictures on Facebook. Yes. uh, let's see. Michael says I've been blessed, and so has Dawna. Yes.
Thank you. Yes. Yes.
The
Very humble, very grateful. It's interesting because okay, so I'm appearing here, right? And I'm smiling and I'm good. I'm really good. Like all is well with my soul.
mm-hmm.
This is the culmination of a very deep and very mixed journey to
Mm-hmm.
arrive at this state.
Yes.
So I want people to know that where they are is not wrong. Like where they are within themselves, it's not wrong. It's all part of the journey. And the important thing is to get to know the truth of who they are, because that unlocks everything. And just be willing to shed and to shed and to release everything that is not them. And they will know there's some beautiful higher power, God, source, love, unconditional love, that when we commit to that being true, it just takes over and we just become one with it. And
Yes.
it just really manages our whole experience from a much more beautiful place.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. The I if you look over my shoulder,
Uh-huh.
there's a screen there.
Yeah.
And on that screen, it's all my Really Charlie podcast guest. Now you're already on here, and you showed up, but you showed up when you went off the air momentarily. So I just
Oh,
want to
that's
let
funny.
I
Okay.
just want to let you know that in the background there's you should show up eventually. There's Will Kennedy in the background there, great artist who's also
Excellent.
inspired through many things. There's my nephew, back there who's hopefully on his way to the NFL eventually. There's Miss Berryman, great leader. I love it. So what I'm just getting at is that, any of you that's looking and viewing this on Facebook, the screen in the back displays all the guests that have been on the Really Charlie podcast.
Mm-hmm.
I have quite a bit more to add because I have new guests coming on. But
Mm-hmm.
today I have Dawna Cosme on here, a great writer, and
Thank you very much.
continue to do what you're doing. And
Yeah.
like I said, come back on again if you have
Thank you for that.
time. Um, there may be something you just want to talk about. You just let me know, and it could be you and someone else, you and a group of people,
Mm-hmm.
whatever you wish, whatever you want to do.
Okay.
Until you line up your own podcast. You can you you can
Yeah.
use this podcast for whatever you wish, and then
Oh, that is, I'm being sincere. That's super gracious. Thank you.
all right,
Thank
good,
you.
good.
Oh, but Charlie, let me just say,
Hmm.
earlier when you were talking about family, right? I realized that when I was saying everyone that was at my mom's today, I have to say also I think I can say future daughter-in-law was there too, because if she listens to this and I listed everybody, and I didn't list her, I wouldn't want anyone to feel bad from anything I've said ever.
Hmm.
So I just wanted to put that out there that
Yeah,
she was there too.
I'm very happy you said that, and keep going on. I mean, keep doing the family thing, the family time. It's real
Yeah.
important. Life is
Yeah.
life is short, and so and cherish every moment that we have. All right, my friend, you
Okay, Charlie. Wow. You asked some great questions. This was fun. And
thank you,
it was enlightening for me too. So,
thank you.
yeah.
Um, within within this hour, you will be on Anchor and Spotify, along with Streamyard and which you're on now, Facebook, which you're on now, and YouTube is live. So, and LinkedIn. Sorry, I forgot about LinkedIn. You are actually on LinkedIn right now, and people are reviewing this.
LinkedIn does this?
I add my profile on LinkedIn, and now if you go to my profile on there, it's going to show this podcast, which is
Oh, okay. I got it.
which actually could be another thing for you to use, because if you have your resume on there and you're looking for different things, well, you might as well throw your book or your inspirational thoughts on there, and go from there. But
Yeah.
you are it is being shown on LinkedIn, and so
I'll find you on LinkedIn. I actually have an account on LinkedIn, so I'll find you. Okay.
okay, please do.
Yeah.
Um, and Mr. Boga says, awesome. I love it. Um, Brandon, we got to set up a date. I got the end of April that's available, so let me know, and then we could get you on this podcast, you and Ashley, and talk about
Good.
basketball.
Good.
Um, all right, Donna. Do you
Okay,
want
Charlie.
if you want to continue to talk, I'll take you off screen and you stay backstage. I'm just going to close this segment up. But if you want to
Okay.
talk to me some more privately, just stay on, and then I'll talk to you.
Okay. Thank you.
All right.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Okay.
Thank you, Charlie. This is great. Thank you.
Thank you very much. All right.
Okay.
All right. Oops. I'm sorry. She said bye. Donna said bye. She's saying thank you. And actually, great guest. Great guest. There's a reason why she came on, and the reason is because of what she gave us and what she offered us today. Some inspiration, some true, transparent stories. And, I'm so glad that she was on here, and want to have her on there many more times throughout this coming year. So, all right, let's see. Got a comment here. I want to address the last comment. And it says good night. Tracy Rose says good night. Good night. Good night, Tracy. Love you, cuz. All right. Let's see. All right. As I end after every podcast is with my beautiful intro from Lionel Peter Walker, my man. He does some amazing things at the communal space down on Union Street in New Bedford, along with many, many other things. He is the Sunshine recipient of the Really Charlie podcast this year. And at the tail end of this year, I will select another person that's going to receive that award, because Lionel Walker, he's always looking to make someone else shine in the community. And those are the people that I look for. And I give them the award, and the award is beautiful. It's not something that's, bunch of plastic and, it would break on the first fall. I took a lot of time in selecting that. And, Lionel Walker is our first recipient for the Really Charlie podcast Sunshine Award. And he's definitely deserves it. All right, everyone. Good night. And I will be back on this podcast, let's see, on the 30th with my man, Ron Henderson Jr., which is from RJ's Productions, another musician. He's coming on, and he will definitely be on the 30th. And we got many more guests. Continue to support the Really Charlie podcast on StreamYard, Facebook, YouTube, LinkedIn, Anchor, and Spotify. Love you guys. God bless, and have a very, very good night.
It's the Really Charlie podcast. Yeah, it's the Really Charlie podcast. Yo, it's the Really Charlie podcast. Bumping through your broadcast. Grab a chair, fill your glass. Yeah, it's the Really Charlie podcast. Yo, it's the Really Charlie podcast. Yeah, it's the Really Charlie podcast. Bumping through your broadcast. Grab a chair, fill your glass.